Lift your head for a second and look at your life. How many situations are you still trapped in simply because you refuse to walk away? Think about the moment you needed someone to stay, the deal you were afraid to walk away from, the relationship you kept negotiating instead of ending, the job you tolerated because leaving felt dangerous. That was the moment leverage left your hands. Here is the rule, and it does not care how you feel about it. If you can walk away, you already own it. Read that again. If you can walk away, you already own it. If you can't, it owns you. Watch how this works in real life. Two people sit at a table. One is calm, one is anxious. One knows they can leave, the other needs the outcome to survive. Before a word is spoken, power has already been decided. You feel it in your body. The urge to explain yourself before being asked. The fear of losing access. That fear is the chain. Most men think attachment is loyalty. It isn't. It's exposure. The moment someone senses you need them, they test you. They delay replies. They raise the price. They push boundaries just far enough to see if you will flinch. And most people do. They negotiate harder. They explain more. They chase clarity. That is submission disguised as effort. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this long before contracts and corporations existed. He knew dependence creates obedience, and the man who can leave without noise terrifies everyone who needs control. This video is not here to calm you, it is here to strip you, because the man who can walk away never chases, never pleads, never explains. He waits, and everything else adjusts. Stay with me, because in a moment, you'll understand why detachment is the most dangerous position a man can hold. Why walking away rewires every power dynamic instantly, and why the ability to leave calmly, cleanly without explanation makes you impossible to control. Here's the part most people never want to face. You don't stay trapped because you are weak. You stay trapped because you are afraid of what happens when you leave. Walking away exposes something brutal. It forces the other side to reveal how much of the relationship was built on your tolerance, not respect. That's why people panic when you stop engaging. Not when you argue, not when you explain. When you withdraw, look closely at how power actually behaves. The moment you stop responding, messages multiply. The moment you stop negotiating, tone changes. None of that appeared when you were compliant. That should tell you everything. Most men think power comes from being valuable. It doesn't. It comes from being optional. If your presence is guaranteed, you are managed. If your departure feels impossible, you are owned. Here's the uncomfortable truth people avoid. The reason people disrespect you slowly is because you trained them to believe you won't leave. The reason boundaries get tested is because no one believes you will enforce them. Detachment is enforcement without words. You don't announce it, you demonstrate it. Watch what happens when you stop chasing clarity. Watch what happens when you stop fixing tension. Silence is not empty. Silence is pressure. People reveal their real position when you no longer rush to stabilize theirs. The moment someone knows you will stay no matter what, they stop self-regulating. Why would they calculate risk when loss is no longer real? This is why detachment rewires behavior without confrontation. When walking away is possible, every interaction changes upstream. Tone shifts. Decisions slow down. Respect reappears without being demanded. Not because you became louder, because you became unpredictable. And here's the part that stings. Most men don't fear losing people. They fear being alone with the truth that staying was a choice. So they call attachment loyalty. They call fear commitment. They call endurance strength. It isn't. Strength is knowing you can leave and not flinch. The man who can walk away doesn't need leverage. He is the leverage. And the moment others sense that, the entire dynamic shifts. No speeches, no explanations, just gravity changing direction. Stay with this, because once you see how detachment rewires every interaction, You'll start noticing who actually has power and who is just afraid to lose it. Here's the layer most people never connect. Detachment is not an attitude. It is a signal. It tells everyone around you one thing: you are not dependent on the outcome, and that terrifies people. Because most social control relies on leverage, approval, access, attention, security. The moment you remove your emotional investment, leverage collapses. Watch how people behave when they realize they can't bait you anymore. They overtalk, they justify, they escalate, they expose themselves. Power always reveals itself when it's ignored. Think about negotiations. The one who needs the deal speaks more. The one who can walk away listens. Think about relationships. The one who fears abandonment explains. The one who is ready to leave sets the terms. Think about disrespect. The one who reacts is already underneath. The one who stays calm forces the other side to scramble for relevance. This is why detachment feels dangerous, because it strips people of their favorite weapon, your need. Machiavelli understood this clearly. Men are not controlled by force first. They are controlled by what they fear losing. So when you stop fearing loss, control breaks. No one can manipulate what you don't cling to. No one can dominate what does not chase. And here's the harsh truth most men resist. If walking away feels impossible, you don't own the situation. The situation owns you. That's why detachment rewires every room you enter. You don't demand. You don't compete. You let gravity work. Because when others sense you don't need them, they start needing you. And that's when power quietly changes hands. The deeper you go into this, the clearer it becomes. Control never comes from holding tighter. It comes from loosening your grip until nothing has leverage over you. And once that shift happens internally, the external world starts responding in ways you cannot fake, because people sense when detachment is performative and when it is absolute. Here is the part most people misunderstand. You can grasp the rule intellectually and still fail it behaviorally, because the real test of detachment does not arrive when things are calm. It arrives the moment walking away threatens something you built your identity around. Status, image, time already invested. This is where most men break. They say they can walk away, but the moment pressure hits, they hesitate. Because leaving now would mean admitting they stayed too long, tolerated too much, or built on something unstable. So they double down. They rationalize. They convince themselves endurance is strength. That is sunk cost talking. And sunk cost is one of the strongest chains you will ever wear. Walking away once is not power. Being willing to walk away every time is. Detachment is not a move you pull when things get bad. It is a position you live from. Because the moment people sense you are capable of leaving, the dynamic is already decided. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove anything. The threat exists quietly. And that silence is what does the damage. Look closely at how control actually operates. People test boundaries to measure your tolerance. They delay responses to see if you panic. They withdraw warmth to see if you chase. Every test asks the same question. How much does this person need me? Most men answer without realizing it. They negotiate their own value. They stay longer than they should. They accept conditions they resent, not because they are weak, but because they are attached to outcomes, attached to being chosen. Detachment removes all of that. When you don't chase closure, you control the ending. When you don't need validation, you set the frame. When you don't fear silence, you dominate it. And here's the uncomfortable shift that follows. People start behaving better around you. Not because you demanded respect, but because they sensed consequences. Not loud consequences, quiet ones. They know one misstep doesn't lead to conflict. It leads to absence. And absence is the only punishment that works on people who crave control. This is why detachment rewires status without effort. You stop arguing. You stop correcting. You let people choose their behavior, and you choose your presence. That asymmetry creates hierarchy instantly, because the one who can leave holds the highest position in every interaction. Stay with me, because what comes next explains why detachment doesn't just protect you from manipulation, it makes manipulation impossible. Here is the rule most men violate without realizing it. Never chase what you can abandon. The moment you chase, you reveal dependence, and dependence is the raw material of control. Look at how people lose power in real time. They chase clarity from people who enjoy confusion. They chase respect from those who already decided not to give it. Every chase answers one question: who needs who more? And the one who needs more always loses. Detachment flips this instantly. When you don't chase replies, people start replying faster. When you don't chase explanations, people start explaining themselves. Not because you asked, because you removed pressure. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Chasing is emotional exposure. It tells the other side exactly where you're weak. That's why manipulators create distance first. They aren't busy, they're watching. Watching if you panic. Watching if you break formation. Most men fail immediately. They double text. They over-clarify. And in doing so, they hand over leverage. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. Power is not about pursuit. It's about replaceability. The man who can leave creates scarcity without effort. The man who stays creates entitlement for others. And this applies everywhere. In relationships, in friendships, in negotiations. If someone feels you won't walk away, they will push further. If someone senses you can leave at any moment, they self-correct. This is why detachment feels threatening to people. It removes their ability to control outcomes through pressure. You don't need to punish. You don't need to confront. You don't need to prove anything. You simply stop chasing. And when you stop chasing, something brutal happens. People realize you were never trying to win them. You were choosing whether they deserved access. That reversal is the entire law. Look at your own behavior. When something matters too much, you reply faster. You explain more. You compromise earlier. Each of those moves feels reasonable in isolation. Together they form a pattern of surrender. This is the truth most men avoid. Chasing feels active, but it is reactive at its core. It is movement dictated by fear of loss, rather than confidence in alternatives. Detachment removes that fear, not because you are indifferent to outcomes, because you are no longer dependent on any single one. When abandonment is real, pursuit becomes unnecessary. You stop forcing alignment. You stop negotiating dignity. You stop rewarding disrespect with effort. This is where power stabilizes. People begin to reveal themselves when you stop chasing. Those who valued you adjust. Those who exploited your attachment drift away. Neither outcome requires explanation. This is why the man who can abandon never pleads. He does not escalate. He does not chase closure. He lets the structure respond to his stillness. And in that stillness, everything else either aligns or removes itself. The moment your peace depends on a single yes, you've already lost leverage. That's why powerful men build exits before they build commitments. They don't threaten to leave. They don't announce boundaries. They don't negotiate respect. They simply arrange their lives so walking away costs them nothing. And that's what terrifies people, because they can feel it. They sense when you're not attached to the outcome. They sense when you're not invested in winning them over. They sense when your silence is not confusion, but choice. And once they feel that, their behavior changes. They stop testing. They stop pushing. Not because you demanded respect, but because they know pressure won't work. Anything you lose by not chasing was never anchored to your value. It was anchored to your availability. When availability ends, the illusion collapses. Watch what happens after you stop following up. Conversations die. Promises fade. Opportunities that required you to beg disappear. That is not failure. That is filtration. Here's the part most people won't accept. If you can't afford to lose someone, you will always be managed by them. If you can't afford to lose an opportunity, you will always be bent by it. If you can't afford to be alone, you will always be negotiated down. Detachment removes the need to negotiate. You don't argue for position. You don't explain your standards. You don't chase alignment. You let misalignment remove itself. And the moment you operate like this, a line is drawn. Those who benefit from your attachment will resist you. Those who respect strength will adjust to you. Those who rely on leverage will disappear. That's not loss. That's filtration. This is why detachment is dangerous. It exposes who was only present because you were available to be used. And once you see that, you stop asking why people change. They didn't change. Your attachment did. Once you stop chasing, you begin choosing. Not choosing from fear, choosing from surplus. You notice this shift first in small ways. You pause before responding. You let offers sit unanswered. You stop rushing to clarify misunderstandings that were never genuine misunderstandings to begin with. This is not hesitation. This is control returning to center. Detachment also sharpens perception. Without emotional urgency clouding your judgment, you see patterns you previously excused. Who respects limits? Who escalates when denied access? Who only engages when you are pursuing? That information was always there. Attachment kept you from seeing it. Machiavelli understood that a man who cannot observe calmly cannot rule himself, and a man who cannot rule himself will always be ruled by circumstances. Detachment restores internal command, and internal command precedes every form of external authority. This is why detached men are harder to manipulate. They do not reward pressure. They do not respond predictably. They do not explain absences, and because of that, pressure loses its target. You also begin to attract a different class of interaction. Fewer people, higher quality, less noise. Those who remain do so because they choose to, not because you chased them into proximity. That alone rebalances every dynamic. Most men never experience this phase because it requires tolerating uncertainty without scrambling to fill it. They mistake silence for loss and reattach before the real benefit appears. But if you hold steady, something irreversible happens. You stop needing outcomes to validate you. You stop measuring yourself by acceptance. You stop fearing the idea of starting over. At that point, walking away no longer feels like a tactic. It feels like freedom. And freedom, once real, becomes the most destabilizing force in any negotiation, because nothing terrifies control more than a man who does not need to be held. When you stop chasing and fully accept abandonment as an option, you stop operating inside other people's frames, because nothing anchors you to outcomes they control. You are no longer negotiating for approval, timing, or permission. You move independently of their reactions. This is where control becomes internal. Watch how your behavior changes without effort. You speak less because words are no longer currency. You wait longer because urgency no longer owns you. You decide faster because you are not calculating how the decision will be received. This shift is subtle but ruthless. People feel it immediately, even if they cannot articulate it. They stop testing you casually. They stop dangling incentives. They stop assuming you will adjust, not because you announced anything, because your behavior stopped responding to pressure. Machiavelli understood this as the highest position of power, not domination through force, but freedom from dependence, because the man who cannot be cornered cannot be controlled. If nothing essential is at risk, threats lose meaning. This is why detachment restructures entire dynamics. Others begin to self-edit around you. They choose words carefully. They calculate actions before committing. You are no longer reacting to the environment. The environment begins reacting to you. This is the level most men never touch. They chase leverage externally, status, authority, recognition, while remaining internally attached to outcomes that hollow them out. They look powerful, but move nervously. Detachment reverses this completely. You may appear quieter, less urgent, less available. But your presence carries weight now, because nothing you do is forced. Every action is optional. Every silence is chosen. At this stage, you no longer need to prove strength. The ability to leave removed the need to demonstrate anything at all. And once you reach that internal position, you realize the truth that ends the cycle. Power was never about taking control. It was about removing the handles others used to pull you. Nothing terrifies control more than a man who does not need the outcome. That is what detachment gives you. If this unsettled you, good. That discomfort is the signal. It means you recognized how often you stay where you should have left. How often you negotiate with situations that don't deserve negotiation. How often you chase clarity, approval or closure, instead of walking away. At this point, you already know the difference. You know the feeling of needing something to work. And you know the feeling of being able to leave. When you can walk away without anger, without explanation, without revenge, you are no longer reacting to the world. You are choosing yourself. Most people will never reach this point. They will keep chasing, keep explaining, keep hoping their presence earns respect. You don't need to earn what you already own. If this video articulated something you felt but never had language for, leave a like, not for the algorithm, but as a marker, a signal that this lesson landed. Share it with the one person who still thinks walking away means losing. They need to see this before life teaches it the hard way. And if you want more laws like this, laws that don't comfort you but sharpen you, subscribe to the channel. This is Machiavellian Stoic. We don't teach you how to be liked. We teach you how to be unmovable. Once you understand detachment, nothing controls you again.